Okay, so the we use the term mainstream media a lot, and really, just we're referring to the old usual suspects, the NBCs, ABCs of the world, CBS, all the alphabet platforms and organizations, and who they're all connected to, and they seem to carry water for the authoritarian left. Well, not seem. That's exactly what it is they do, and it gives them a lot of validation. It gives them a lot of what's the word that I could use? Like, well, basically, what's happening is that people, because it comes from them, and I know it sounds crazy coming from us, because a lot of us know that this is bullshit. Okay, but you have to understand that there are people in this world that actually think that news isn't news unless it comes from CNN, unless it comes from NBC, unless it comes from the mainstream. And they give the validation to them because they think that that's the only legitimate form of information. Even with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, for example, I had to correct so many people that I know in real life that just eat up this bullshit. Okay? But that's what they do. That's what the mainstream media does, if you will. Here's an example, though, of them, like, again, perpetuating what the authoritarian left wants them to. Okay? And saying things that are just completely dangerous, might I add, but par for the course. So we're going to listen to Kramer, who you used to know. I don't know. He doesn't seem to do it as much, but maybe he still does. You should be screaming about stocks, and usually he's wrong anyway. But that's a shtick, right? But let's listen to what he had to say about vaccines and all of that. Let's see what he had to say.
Lord knows what happened if you didn't partake. But back then, anyone who refused to get vaccinated would get ratted out immediately because we knew that person could hurt other people. The commonweal was a commonweal. Now we're engaged in a similar struggle with COVID, and Eisenhower would be aghast. We have immunocompromised people.
Fuck Eisenhower, by the way. But either way.
Immunocompromised people who are incubators for every variant to come, walking around lawfully unvaccinated? That's psychotic. We have companies that have tried hard to get people vaccinated and now backing down. We have governors who want to be president by grandstanding on a foolish states' right issue, the right to get sick, get other people sick. So it's time.
And you know how this is what's so dangerous about these idiots, right? Is that first of all, they're still operating on a lie, and that is that basically the virus is just being passed around by unvaccinated people, even though their own handlers have already conceded, because they had to, that vaccinated people not only can spread it, but when they're infected, there's no difference in viral load. So you're just as likely to spread it as someone else that is unvaccinated, despite you being double, triple jabbed, right? The Omicron shit that he's even referring to, that's in the fucking headline. When we knew those first 4 cases that they were talking about in Botswana and South Africa, all 4 of them are vaccinated. And he blames, which is what these guys do, despite that evidence being out there, despite Rochelle Walensky already conceding on August the 6th. Well, we know that the vaccines don't prevent transmission. That's what she said. I didn't say that. She said that. And they're still operating on the lie. What's simply not true. And they present you as if you're just this objectively bad person just because you exist. And instead of looking at it through the lens of you have the right to your own body, they look at it like, well, by being unvaccinated, you're acting like you have the right to get other people sick. Now, I've said since the beginning of this pandemic, if that's what you want to call it, that was always a nonsensical take anyway, mainly because that logic didn't apply to anything else ever throughout recent modern history. People went around, for example, getting sick or getting other people sick all the time. That was normal when I grew up. And I'm not even just talking about like chickenpox parties where, they wanted you to get it out of the way. So, you found out, friend of your kid was that caught chicken pox, and then you trying to get them to go over their house. Like, that's stuff that they were still doing in my generation when we were growing up. But I'm not even referring to that. No, I don't have to go there. I was an athlete. The amount of, you have someone coming coughing, sneezing, and it was like, oh, well, are you good enough to play? Are you good enough to perform? Like, yeah. Okay, cool. Fuck it. You be next to someone playing basketball or something with someone that may be sick. But more importantly and more direct, with other forms of viruses, bacteria that exist, any of them, the reality of being a human being that lives among other people is that you may not be sick, but you can spread something that can get someone else very sick, and they could die. That's not a new phenomenon. Don't let them pretend that COVIDs did that. That's not a new thing. I bring this up all the time. Viral pneumonia kills thousands upon thousands of people throughout the year all over the world. Okay? There is no cure for viral pneumonia if it's not associated with the flu. Your body simply has to fight that back. That's the only cure, if you will. You could spread it and you could get someone else sick and they could get pneumonia from said virus and die. It happens all the time. All the time. Yet never once was it suggested that that person's a criminal, or if you walked around, you were just a criminal killing people. That was never suggested. Yet we do it now. And this goes to show that you guys just have a lot to gain. They don't have to make this make sense. But what specifically Kramer is about to say, we're going to go into it now, is the most dangerous part of this.
I admit that we have to go to war against COVID. Require vaccination universally. Have the military run it. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you better be ready to prove your conscientious objector status in court. And even then, you need to help in the war effort by staying home until we finally beat this thing.
So he said that basically it should be universally mandated and that the military should run it. And basically, if you're not vaccinated, you should be planning. This is on some funny mustache. People with funny mustaches in the past did some of the things like this. Where you basically have to show up among them, explaining yourself. Why were you doing this? And you're already a criminal. Just by existing. Now, this is where the harsh reality comes in, and I would be interested to see how people react to that. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but a lot of y'all need to understand that any event, and this is more so aimed at conservatives, any event that, as the dogs are barking, any event that they do this, and they, let's say Biden, of course, this would be the one job that he does have as the commander-in-chief, somehow could weaponize the military on his own people for the love of vaccination, or rather pretending as if he's caring for other people and trying to protect them. Many of those military folk, and most of them, are going to do it. Okay? Now, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen as in like it'll ever get to that point. I'm just telling you that they're going to do it. And this is going to force a lot of y'all to come in conflict, just like you did with police in the summer of love in 2020. The people that you guys worship, the people that you guys say or think are objectively good, they deserve all the thanks because they're protecting their country. Are going to be the motherfuckers putting you up on a wall in the event that this shit got to this point. And hey, much like some of y'all still do with the boys in blue, they'll fall back on, well, we're just doing our jobs. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.